What's good everyone, Momo here, and today I want to quickly pick up on a topic that I mentioned in my other video where I said Devil Jin fits the Season 2 meta, and I want to go over, or at least I want to explain why I've said that, especially with how much the HP buff benefits Devil Jin and why you can take more risks because of it. So I want to explain that in detail, and hopefully you can understand why I think this is also somewhat a key to having success with Season 2 Devil Jin. And the very first thing I'm going to show you is, or at the very least I'm going to compare, is recoverable damage numbers after getting a health. So as you can see here, 87 damage, 41 of it recoverable. So like over 40 damage of it is unrecoverable. You took like 50 real damage, can be even more when I get a wall split. And with Devil Jin, it's not very unusual to get like 110, around 110 damage from a full combo, especially from like electric. And the risk he just took trying to health sweep me while he's outside of heat is just, the risk reward is just not in his favor. He gets like 45 damage, half of it is recoverable for me, and the risk he takes is like, he takes 110 damage and can barely recover anything from it, so it makes it hard for him to make a comeback. And especially because he's not in heat after that launch, he's gonna have a hard time. Either he has to activate heat by landing a heat burst, or a heat engager, and Devil Jin's heat engagers are not really known for being very strong. Random up forward one can be strong, I guess. Like the strongest heat engagers he has right now is like either a strong with punish back to 3, or a counter down for 2. These are the safest and strongest ways of entering heat right now for Devil Jin. Occasional up for 4 on a low can be good as well, but you get the idea. It's kind of hard to activate heat with this character, unless you're playing it safely and correctly with the 2 options I just showed you. And thus, when you try to heat burst or use a heat engager that is not really good at giving you coverage with this character, chances are you're gonna get sidestepped and launched and you're dead. Because you tried to activate heat and make a comeback. And all of it because you tried to health sweep in a neutral where the risk reward is just straight up not in your favor. That's why I'm trying to explain to you that it makes a huge difference whether you take those risks outside of heat or while in heat. Now take a look at this. All of a sudden it's 87 damage, only 17 of it being real. The rest of it is entirely recoverable. And when we try to translate that into Devil Jin's game plan, let's say I got a health sweep blocked, I took a shitload of damage, guessed wrong on a mix-up, this is the HP you will kind of be left on. And it makes a huge difference whether you reach that health while you had heat activated or not. So let's say I land a full ass heat engager, right? I have a ton of heat bar to work with. And even if I have my health sweep blocked after, I will lose a third of my heat bar, and chances are I will also lose quite a bit of health. But at the very least, a lot of it is recoverable. So let's say I just entered heat. I had a health sweep blocked of mine after a heat engager, so I'll be left at like 2/3 of my heat bar. And this is the HP I'm left with after being punished, right? As you can see, I still have a shit ton of recoverable health. So if I end up playing my cards right, and manage to land a heat health sweep, for example, look at the HP I'm recovering. All of that from an unseeable low. And then let's say I managed to land a Vice Thing too, because they're obviously expecting a heat health sweep. Same story, I'm recovering a lot of health. And if you play your cards and your momentum right, chances are you will recover like 50 damage, and it's almost like your health sweep never got blocked. Which is why you can allow yourself to take one more big risk, which can be a huge deciding factor on winning a round with Devil Jin or not. And once again, let's put into perspective what the risk reward is. Here, outside of heat, like 45 damage on average, unless you activate heat after, which can be like 47 to 53 damage. If you're not willing to use up more heat after, you will probably end up getting like 47 damage. And the risk you take is like 100 plus damage if they get the wall. And in this season, a lot of characters will get the wall, a full wall combo and like a ton of damage beforehand. Devil Jin's like one of the best examples for that. Like you get easily around 110 damage if you get a full EVGF launch into spike wall combo. So risk reward is just not in your favor at all. You can land like 3 of those hell sweeps and you will barely catch up on the combo damage the average character dishes out right now. But things change entirely while you're in heat. So let's say I land a heat engager. And imagine I get my sweep blocked in this situation while I have like full HP. So let's do it differently actually. As you can see here, a lot of the HP is still recoverable, but at this point I have to pick up on another topic that's super important for me to mention. So while you're getting comboed, you're also losing heat. So if you don't play your cards right with your heat, and this is all about heat management now, like what I'm going to be talking about from now, it's all about heat management. If you end up heat sweeping after having activated your heat burst, and you get your heat sweep blocked, chances are because you're taking so many hits from that combo and you're taking so much damage, your heat bar will just be gone entirely because you had one sweep blocked. And I personally think trying to activate heat with a heat burst is just not worth it with this character, but it really depends on the context. So like, let's say you want to activate heat safely and you're not gonna land a heat engager anytime soon. I think it's okay to activate heat in these kinds of ways where you're safe on wake up, but you need to understand that you're giving up Oki for this, so if you end up getting Zoo kept or either keep out launcher or whatever, your heat bar will also just be gone. And all of this is the reason why... So like in this kind of situation you can also activate heat safely, but all of this is the reason why I think it's much more important to look out for ways of entering heat by using a heat engager. Up 4 can be okay on a low read. 4-4-2 kind of force use because it's your best mid. Next to like down 4-2 and back 4-2. Back to 3 is a really good way of entering heat by wolf punishing them. And down 4-2 into 1-4-2-2 is probably my favorite way of activating heat right now. Random of 4 going to 1-4-2-2 can also work. The one heat engager I genuinely despise and hate using because of the risk reward being even more dog shit than a hell sweep is back 3. Can be okay here and there, but I generally advise against trying to activate heat by using this. You don't want to use this move to activate heat, not with that purpose. The move is okay while you're in heat, but outside of it, it's just bad. And then let's try to take a look at what you're left with when you get your sweep blocked, like your heat sweep blocked after landing a heat engager. You still have like almost half your heat bar left, and if you play your cards right, either you land... Well, what's gonna happen is most people will try to use keep out jabs, like similar buttons against Devil Jin in heat, to, you know, not have to deal with the monochrome mix-up or with a mix-up in a neutral. So let's say I'm in this situation, right? I have a ton of recoverable health, I'm in heat, I still have half my heat bar. Just imagine the situation the other Devil Jin was in right now is now me. I managed to land a, I don't know, backdash electric to beat their keep out jabs. And look at how much health I'm recovering, and I'm still able to keep going. So if I land a heat sweep after this, I'm recovering even more health. And if I was at full HP before getting my sweep blocked, it can look like something like this, like you're still gonna have some less recoverable health because the launcher always does real damage pretty much. But I think in Season 2 it's different, even standing damage will be recoverable, if I recall correctly, so let's have this Devil Jin activate heat real quick and check. Yeah, so even here you will have some recoverable health, but you get the idea. So let's say I got my health sweep blocked at full HP, and I somehow managed to land a anti-keep out electric or a timing electric. And that's also trying to knock off the combo. As you can see here, I recovered so much health, you might as well call that health sweep that got blocked neglectable. Because the damage I took, I just recovered. I still have some of my heat bar, and if I end up landing a heat dash or something similar, I will recover some more HP. So if you keep up your momentum and they guess wrong, chances are the one sweep you tried to use after a heat engager, it like even if it got blocked, it never existed. And this is what makes taking risks in heat so good right now. Because of the way that recoverable health works, especially now that even standing damage will be recoverable, so most high damage launchers will not be as scary anymore. And on top of it all, you having to use your full heat bar as well as possible, because in Season 1 you did not have much heat to work with. Like, in Season 1, what did you even have? You had like Heat Dash, you had Heat Smash, but other than that, your heat buttons were just not really useful. In Season 2, you need to be very careful with how you use your heat buttons. It's like a heat health sweep can quickly get rid of your entire heat bar, especially when you try to use it after a heat burst, heat activation. Or like Monica 1+2 will also take up like a third of your entire heat bar. So the best thing you can really do is try to enter heat safe in the safest way possible, with like counted down for 2 or 3 or similar, and then try to make use of your heat that way. The issue with taking risks outside of heat with Devil Jin straight up is just that trying to enter heat afterwards is super fucking tedious, and against really good players sometimes even impossible. Let's say I just had my health sweep blocked, I took a shit ton of damage while I was outside of heat, right? Can look something like this. And now, what will happen? The opponent, if he's good, will know that I'm trying to enter heat by either using a heat burst or a heat engager. So what will the opponent do? He will preemptively start sidestepping. If he sidesteps my heat burst, I'm dead. If he sidesteps my 442, I'm dead. If he sidesteps my 44, I'm dead. There's no reason for him to get hit by back 3. And what I'm left with is, say like down 4-2, maybe a random up 4-1. You're not gonna use a random morning 4-2 in the neutral. And you want to avoid this kind of situation, where you took a huge risk and it leaves you in such a shitty position. If your opponent has that much health on top of it all, and you're in a shitty situation where you have a huge life deficit, you have to make the comeback, chances are you're just gonna get stepped, your heat burst will get stepped or whatever, and the only thing you can really do is pray that the next health sweep hits and somehow enter heat that way. And even then you're in a kind of weird situation. But still better than not being in heat at all. You need to make use of your heat bar in the season. If you die without having used your heat bar, you're generally trolling. You're trolling. You're throwing the game. You need to make use of your heat bar as much as possible, and the best way you can do it is by trying to land a heat engager and then see from there how you can make use of the heat bar. You have the strongest mix-up in the game after, so even if you took a risk prior, it can help you to make a comeback regardless, but you don't want to end up in a situation where you have to make a comeback from a life deficit, and you have a ton of recoverable health, and they're just looking out for the potential heat engager or heat burst. What you want to do is you want to use your heat properly from the start. So let's say you land a heat engager at the start, go for the mix, and if that ends up not working, you still at the very least have a chance afterwards to make a comeback by landing another heat sweep or another mix because you're still in heat, or maybe you can even go for something like Moriko 2 when it hits. Even in this case, you will recover some health, and it can help you make an entire comeback just by doing this. As you can see, look at how much health I'm recovering, and recover more while in heat. All of this kind of factors a lot into trying to take more risks while you're at a high HP threshold, I'll say, and having your heat bar running optimally after a heat engager. You can get an entire sweep blocked and make it neglectable. I can't stress this enough. It allows you to take one more big risk, and just landing one one health sweep or one heat health sweep can win you the entire run, especially with the Morning Cross Stomp existing and all. It's like you can get around 80 damage from landing a heat health sweep, and if you get it blocked, you will eat like 80 to 100 damage, but 80% of it will still be recoverable. So you can still keep going, take another risk, and if it works out, if it pays off properly, you will be at the live lead, regardless of having your sweep block before. I know it's kind of hard to get behind. Like, I understand this may be complicated for someone to understand the way I'm explaining it right now, but hopefully you can try to think about it a bit Maybe even try it out in a match yourself. See at what kind of HP you're left when you're landing a heat engager at high HP and you get your sweep blocked. And try to play the situation from there instead of getting a sweep blocked in a neutral. And just having a hard time afterwards in general. So the main takeaway here is try to take more risks in heat. Now outside of heat, try to play your game more safely with this character because it's just way more optimal in the season to be doing that. Counter, down for 2, back to 3, as I said, are your best friends. A whiff punish here and there can go a long way. A counter, down for 2 can go a long way. Can win you the entire round now. And any other heat engager, if you're lucky enough, can also be useful. Back 3 is just the one heat engager I advise against using. You don't want to take more risks than you have to in this season. Back 3 heat dash is still good in my opinion, but other than that, I think back 3 is just a horrible button. Your gimmicky buttons are just not that good in general. Considering you have to take risk with trying to landing a heat hell sweep or like a morning crow 1+2 in heat. Be very careful in what kind of risk you take this season. Season 1 was a bit more neglectable, your gimmicks were also stronger, HP bars were smaller, and you were not as focused on trying to land a hell sweep or like a mix-up in general in Season 1. Your game plan was a bit different, your game plan was trying to stack chips in the safest way possible. In this season, your main goal should be trying to enter heat in the safest way possible, and then playing your cards right from there. Hopefully I could understand it in a way that is... hopefully I could explain it in a way that is understandable. It's kind of late here, so I might have yapped too much or gotten a speaker here and there, but... Momo out. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully this will help you out in your game plans. See you soon and peace.